I'm going to try to run through this PowerPoint really quickly so that I can give you some information about the first paper, that it's an actual argument. So I'm going to talk about the structure of the classical argument. You're going to follow a structure that's in the Writing Arguments book, and the page number for that is on the classical argument assignment. And there is a model classical argument in this folder, and there's also a model classical argument in your book. So you do have at least 2 models to look at that are exactly what I'm asking you to do. So a couple of things about classical argument. It is suited for a neutral audience. So these are people that don't already have an opinion one way or the other about whatever the topic is you're writing about. So the example in the folder is about tabletop role-playing games, and those being a good thing to for parents to do with their kids. So I certainly have no opinion about that. So that was a really good classical argument. And it doesn't mean that I don't have an opinion about it. It means that your audience, so whoever, like that paper's audience would have been parents. Because your audience does not already have an opinion, you can be a little more forceful with your tone. So you can be direct and straightforward. You do not have to hide your thesis statement. You're going to present that, and you're going to walk us through the paper step by step. So it is your job as the writer to help us understand the first reason, the second reason, the third reason as you develop your thesis. So it has that self-announcing structure, and it involves a comparison between what is and what should be. So parents not spending any time with their kids and their kids being on devices all the time versus parents and kids sitting around the kitchen table developing a story together. So that's just a little overview of what you're going for with the classical argument. You are going to be limited to first person research, primary experience. So that means you're not going to be able to use Google or the databases. You can use your own personal experience, and you may interview someone who has some sort of expertise on the topic. So for example, with these 3 claims, OCTC should have food service on campus for students, faculty, and staff. As a faculty member here, I could write about that. I could use my personal experience, and then I could interview students. Restaurants should pay servers minimum wage. If I am a minimum wage worker, then I can use my personal experience, my primary experience as a server to argue this. I'm going to have a lot of knowledge. I'm going to know how much minimum wage is. I'm going to know how much servers get paid. But I'm going to know that information because I'm living it, not because I've looked it up. So that's the caveat for the classical argument. We are going to use secondary sources in the definition and the causal, so don't worry. But the first thing you need to do is you need to be able to control your own opinion and buy into or dig into your own personal experience. So the structure is very straightforward. You could think of it like that typical 5-paragraph essay you've been taught or are familiar with. However, it's going to start expanding from that. So it is going to have an introduction. That introduction is going to end with your enthymeme. And each paragraph after that needs to be related to the enthymeme. Then you're going to have that rebuttal section where you look at the opposing views and then you respond to those. And then you're going to have your conclusion. So it's more of sections and less paragraphs here. So if you're really focused on that 5-paragraph structure, kind of loosen up a little bit and kind of let the writing, in a way, drive the structure, but you're still in control, so it shouldn't be a free writing or anything like that. It should be very formal, and it should be very clear when you're moving from one reason to another reason and from your position to the opposing position. So these slides just go specifically into each of the areas. This same information is available in your textbook on the structure. Let me see if I can find that for you really quickly. It is on page 18. See right here. Same thing, page 18 of the textbook. So you've got that. Maybe put a little post-it note up there so that you know you can well, you have an ebook, but I bet you can bookmark in the ebook as well, so you've got that to go back to. So I'm going to just kind of flip through these. The writer's position, that's the body of the essay. It's going to be multiple paragraphs. It's where you support your side. But in argument, remember, it's not debate, it's more compromise. So we're going to acknowledge that there is an opposing side. We're going to acknowledge that things aren't perfect. There are issues that need to be dealt with. For example, if you pay servers minimum wage, it's possible that horrible people that eat at restaurants will tip less. And so then it's still not going to end up being a good thing for servers. So you want to make sure that you're putting all those possibilities out there, but at the same time, you're still focused on your point of view. So yes, it's true that if we raise the pay of servers to minimum wage, they may get less tips. However, they know they're going to be guaranteed a certain amount of money, so it's going to be easier for them to budget for things like rent and car payments and phone payments and things like that, because they're going to know they're getting at least this minimum amount. So you always have to bring it back to your side and your opinion. If you don't, if you have half your side, half the opposition, and you never come down to your point of view, then you're not writing an argument. You're writing an exploratory essay or an informative essay. So it is really important for you to have that focus as you move through the paper. So the final thing is about research, and again, you are limited to primary research. So you can do an informal survey, you can do an interview with someone who does have expertise on the topic, and you can certainly use your first-hand experience. Do not just give opinion. So for example, a lot of students will Google classical argument topics on the web, and inevitably capital punishment, gun control, and abortion come up. Well, if you've not been involved in a capital crime, you can't write about capital punishment. If you haven't had or faced the choice of having an abortion, you can't write about abortion. If you have never had your gun rights infringed upon, then you can't write about gun control. So you have to have some sort of personal buy-in through something you have experienced. So being a server and getting paid less than minimum wage, playing tabletop role-playing games with your kids, as a parent, as a student, as a worker, as a human being, there are lots and lots of things that you have first-person experience with. A lot of you have kids who play sports. There's tons of topics within that. Lots of you have pets. There's topics within that. So as you're kind of thinking about these topics for the classical argument, if you want to shoot me an email with possible topics before you develop the argument frame to make sure you're on the right track, I'm happy to help you with that. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope it answers some questions that you may have. As always, I'm happy to receive and respond to emails, phone calls, visits, because I do want to help you be successful. So just keep me in the loop. Let me know what you need help with. Bye.